All right, good evening, everyone. It's 6:01 p.m. on Wednesday, October 27th. Calling to order the Technology Commission for the City of Franklin. First, we'll do the roll call.
Chairman Scott Mead is excused. Vice Chair Greg Stroig.
Present.
Dale Webler.
Here.
Laura Galusha is excused. James Rayburger.
Present.
Rajiv Sarana.
Yep.
Norman Kesson isn't here. John Farney.
Present.
Jaspreet Kaur is excused. Michelle Tischer.
Here.
And Figueroa here. And Figueroa here.
All right, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Mayor has entered.
Good evening, everybody.
We have no citizens as part of our audience can be skipped. Next, asking for a motion on the approval of the meeting minutes from September 22nd, our last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Seconds, and we can. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's our is written. We have a new member. Great. Michelle Tischer. So what we normally do, hello, is kind of just go around the room and say a brief sentence about our background, what we do for our day job, and maybe how long we've been around the mission. But first, we'll let you start and tell us who you are.
Okay, great. I'm Michelle Tischer. I've been in IT for over 20 years. I've been the director of telecom at my company, which is Health Equity, was 15, 16 years. And what kind of interested me about the commission, I found out about it through another opening. I started reading on the website about the different openings. I think at the time you may have been entertaining a phone system, and that's of course where my knowledge lies. And I saw in some recent minutes, I'm not sure if a decision was made, but my company, which was a different company, Health Equity, bought it 16 years ago. We actually went from traditional to VoIP 16 years ago. So I've got a lot of knowledge in that area, and I'm also hoping that I can bring, obviously input to other areas as well. So I'm happy to be here. Meet y'all.
How long have you lived in Franklin?
A year and a half, actually. But I lived in Greenfield, so okay. Close.
Not too long.
I've lived in Greenfield forever and just moved to Franklin a year and a half ago.
All right. Well, welcome. I know you're already talking with Dale, but
I'm not already there. And, I have a part-time job at St. Mary's in Hales Corners. I'm the director there of the IT group. And I have 5 grandkids, which I spend a lot of time with. Life is good.
I'm Rajiv Sarana. I run a small IT consulting company, more focusing on supply chain ERP. I have office back in India, here, and Mexico City. I've been Franklin resident last 20 years. All 3 of my kids went to the Franklin High School. 2 of them graduated from college. They are both doing the job now. They moved to Virginia, one of them, but still working remotely because of the COVID at home. And my youngest is in 10th grade right now. Because of the COVID at home. And my youngest is in 10th grade right now at Franklin. We also started a new advanced programs. So I have a day job now, apart from my job, to take him to the UW because he can drive. He's 15 years, but for math and drive, he's 15 years, but for math and physics, he's already attending the UW.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's a sophomore. So we have
Smarter
3
than
years.
you then.
Definitely. And soon his product is coming out. So he already built the product, and he's got some lot of interest. Buyers who's ready to buy his product. So yeah, so he's
Oh,
smarter
yeah.
than all of my family. So.
What kind of product is it?
So it's kind of interesting. At 8th grade, he just kind of got fascinated with the, the mechanical keyboard. So he put it's called a group buy, where he kind of saw that the other keyboards were not that great. So then he designed the entire prototype, and then he designed the circuit. So he learned all that by himself, and then he found a manufacturer. He thought cheapest was China. Then we came to know, because then we found out that he came to get the contract signed, which because then we found out that he came to get the contract signed, which he couldn't sign, the NDA. That's how me and my wife knew that, he's doing all that. And then we signed, and he got the prototype in summer, and he's all set, he designed his own website. So it's a configured keyboard. You can configure. So it's pretty interesting what he did. So it's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's something very unique which he did in a keyboard, so he's got like a touch ID like iPhone and all that, on the side where you can do certain things. So it's
Very nice.
yeah, it's nice. So
He'll retire before you will.
it's nice. So
He'll retire before you will.
it looks like, yeah, so far.
It's gonna go.
Actually, the big problem is like, Dad, why I have to go to school? That's the question, which is very difficult, because I want everybody to at least graduate, and that's one of the problems. Which
Yeah.
I mean, he's good at school, so but he's good at school, so but he doesn't want to study the literature, English, He's like, I know enough. I can write an email, so and most of the thing computer does for me, so why I need to? Anyway, so yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Alderman Mayor.
Dan Mayer, Alderman Edison. One is working in Tucson at the university, the other is in Milwaukee. And I'm the novice technology person in the group. I have to text one of my sons and say, what does this mean? So I'm just along for the ride sometimes, it feels like, but I try to add a practical aspect when I can.
And your day job?
My day job, I'm retired as fire chief from the city of Cudahy. I was a firefighter in Franklin for 20 years. Worked my way up, took the chief's job in Cudahy 12 years ago. Just retired from that, and now I work for the insurance services office, and I travel around to fire departments and I grade them for the insurance industry. So today I spent in western Wisconsin. I can't even remember the name of the small towns I was in. But so I travel around a little bit. But once a week I'm on the road.
Hopefully you're a fair critic.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So my name is Greg Stroig. I've been on the commission for, I don't know, maybe 20 years. It's a little murky for me. And I've seen multiple aldermen, multiple directors over the years. Yeah, they come and go. Directors over the years. Yeah, they come and go. And I'm a resident of Franklin for now almost 30 years. And I have a daughter who is a senior at Franklin. She hasn't invented a product, and she doesn't know where she's going to college, but she will go to college. She's my only child. And my wife is a school teacher in Elmbrook School District. And I work for a company called Fujifilm Medical Systems. So our parent company is Fujifilm, as you know, from a camera or film, but our business is really on diagnostic equipment and technology for healthcare for hospitals, for engineering that provides technology for radiologists, cardiologists, and so on.
Oh, well, welcome to the commission, Michelle. I'm Jim Rayburger. I actually celebrated a 1-year anniversary with this group just recently. Just recently. Lived in Franklin 25 years. I'm a retired engineering executive. I used to work at Zebra Technologies in Lincolnshire, Illinois. Last role I had there was I was the Director of Product and Information Security. I built the entire global program group, and been retired for 3 years, and here I am.
I am John Farney. I've been a Franklin resident for 11 years. Married. I have 2 boys, one a junior in the high school and an 8th grader in the middle school. I've been on the commission 5 or 6 years. I think we came out about the same Caterpillar. I'm in cybersecurity. I've been in IT over 25 years and dedicated to cyber for the last 12.
Peggy Steno, I'm the Director of Administration here. By education,
when I go off in the deep end. And she follows right along with me, so she does a fantastic job. I'm Jim Metelsky. I'm the Director of IT. I've been here now for about 5 years, since 2016. I'm married to my husband, Daryl, and I have a dog who unfortunately had to put him down. This. So I'm a little on the scatterbrained side tonight, so if the mind just goes trailing off on somewhere, just reel me right back in again here. So it's been an interesting week. We've got an interesting lineup tonight. It's going to be very dry, very, very dry on some of the stuff that we're going to be doing. My thought process was to work again on the strategic technology plan. We'll be working on one of the goals. I'll give a brief rundown on what our strategic technology plan is for Michelle, since she's obviously probably not seen it before at this time. And then we'll go into closed session, and we'll go into the access process this afternoon. It might just be faster if I go through like half the document. Maybe stop at page 27. Just read it. See if there's any comments on it. Go to the next page. And I think we actually can blast through quite a bit of it tonight, since a lot of the front end of the document is just terminology and the meat starts coming towards the actual end of the actual document for it. So with that being said, I think we're ready to go over the next agenda item.
Yep. So welcome again to our new member, and as the director said, it's been lean, focused than some of the other meetings. We're all over budgets and everything. So don't judge your first meeting by its and maybe it would also be good for either of you to just restate the open meeting policy, governmental commission, or
No, I haven't. I mean, I served on the board at a condo community, but
no.
not
So
government.
You can explain. Open
So in open meetings, basically on this commission, everything happens. There might be some correspondence passed back and forth outside of the meeting, but all the business passed back and forth outside of the meeting, but all the business. We do record all of our meetings. Website so that anybody can. As we have citizen comments, it does have a citizen comment period, so people feel free to come. So all of our meetings are open, and there's a legal reason. Approximately 4 reasons for closed session. One of the ones that is applicable to this commission is basically protecting our IT. So that'll be read into the record as we go. Session. Anything that happens in a lot of this information that you commission never go public. But sometimes in other commission council we have items that are confidential at a certain point in time, like in negotiation. A lot of stuff. Basically, everything that we do is all in open. follow the state open records laws, and if the clerk hasn't already, she might have. Did she swear you in already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did she give you any document? No. Okay. So we'll get you some of that information, just kind of the whys and whys. But basically, if you ever have to contact Jim, or if he ever contacts you, the one-on-one appropriate. We have more than 2 members. We have what's called and outside of the.
So, and that includes things like emails. You know, there might be an email that comes out, or you might feel compelled to opine on something you heard at a meeting. You can have that conversation with the director. Have that conversation with the director, but you cannot, you know, just blast the email out to all of us, because that's violation of the open meeting laws. And likewise, when you leave the room after the meeting, you're really not supposed to be conducting or having conversations about it.
Particularly with the police department or the fire department, that quite often is in confidential, and I will put on any type of emails if I do think it is security related from it, because that is not within the purview of the open records law. All I have to do is put private and confidential. And I have to process an open records request for the clerk's office. I wouldn't turn around and process or
So with that, we'll move on to item number 5 on the agenda: strategic technology plan. Goal number 2, strategy
plan. When I first started working here, I think it was written 2010, somewhere around that time period. I knew right then and there that we needed to reevaluate the strategic technology plan and refresh it, and bring a lot of the elements of it to up to date. The structure of the plan, once you get through the basic overview information at the beginning of the document, basically has a hierarchical structure. And at the top level of the structure, archetypes, or your 10 goals that we want to turn around and try to emulate throughout the entire city and its top level policies for it. Underneath the top 10 goals, we then have objectives, and we've already approved all the top 10 goals, and we have just recently approved all of the objectives. And the objectives are the child, obviously, to the archetype goals. Underneath the objectives are strategies, which it's kind of a misnomer. One would think strategy would be at the top, and instead of a misnomer. One would think strategy would be at the top, and instead of a bottom. But it's more of a deliverable that is further decomposition of the actual objective. And underneath the strategy is an activity. Here's something where it is a very specific, very actionable item, an objective or an abstract idea. It is something that can actually be decomposed and put into an actual project. So that's the basic structure of the document. Right now we're going through all the strategies and the activities, and we're going through the goal. And then for each objective we will look at and define the strategy and the activity. During last meeting, we went through goal number 1 and its associated objectives. And now this week, we're actually going to go through goal number 2, which is, goal is the use of technology to meet ethical. And with that, there were actually 2 objectives. First objective is each year, achieve compliance with state and federal record requirements, record retentions, and all mandated security policies. And then I referred to a couple there that we are actually bound to. The most interesting is the computer justice audit that is performed by the Department of Justice each and every single year. The second objective is to perform regular IT and third-party audits to assess the level of compliance to internal IT control matrices and to communicate to executive management the current levels of compliance. Those were the 2 that we approved during 2 meetings ago.
and the corresponding objective that we had was basically broken out into those two objectives. I know when you're document, it's a little bit hard to read because everything is in red, but if you follow what was actually crossed out, that was the original objective, and then you should have a 2.1 and a 2.2. If I was going to turn around and define the strategies for that, of at least CJIS, so I thought something along the line is initiate and direct the annual Computer Justice Information System audit for the police department on an annual basis, and then to address the document and records retention and security policies with document retention would be to implement an enterprise document management and security policies with document retention would be to implement an enterprise document management system in order to facilitate the storing and retrieval of document and government records. Again, there's no direct timeline saying within 1 year or within 2 years do it, even though we do the CJIS audit on an annual basis. With those two strategies, I would say we could have at least 2 elements that can be broken out as part of maintaining, initiating that audit. One is to create a summary report of all results and open issues identified by the DOJ auditor that either marginally met or failed compliance. That should then be presented in a presentation to the Technology Commission outlining the current year's reports, basically a presentation of that summary report, and then comparing the results, a presentation of that summary report, and then comparing the result to last year's report, so we can actually see and judge where we need to make marked progress, and if there's any technology that has to be implemented at the police department in order to help facilitate being further in compliance with that actual audit. Document retention policies based upon an enterprise taxonomy of record classification and legal compliance. So you look at all the different types of government documents and records, classify which each type of document record you are, and based upon the type of document you're dealing with, you're probably going to have different level for that document type, and you may also have different ways you want to turn around and further classify that particular document. And that would then be embedded within the policies of the actual enterprise document management. At least that's what I envisioned for the decomposition of that. I don't know if there would be wanting for the decomposition of that. I don't know if there would be wanting any discussion on any of those particular items, particularly if to add or further refine any of these.
Jim, just a quick question. Has the police department ever been audited against CJIS? Has the police department ever been audited against CJIS?
Yes, they have. They are required by statutory law to be audited on an annual basis. Historically, it has been initiated and controlled by the police department, and they brought the IT department in. Normally when starts asking them questions and they don't know what the answer is on it. But I also want this to become more of a process where not only are we sharing the auditing process on it, but also the reporting of what are those requirements. That way it also starts flowing a little bit into the budgeting process as well. A good example is in the audit, the auditor says you have to have a SIEM as part of retaining your logs and identifying potential security events within the organization. There is an actual requirement in the CJIS manual in the handbook. That's just an actual requirement in the CJIS manual in the handbook that just says you actually have to turn around and have that. And they currently don't have that, and I know that would be a failure on the audit report because that technology doesn't exist. So I know that would be, at least as when we're looking at projects and things, something that we're going to want to turn around and address. So I want to make sure that as part of these audits are concerned, if there's an addressable items that have to get put forward, that we actually start creating a plan of how to go ahead and do that. And that has always been kind of like an empty hole in our strategy. The police department's responsible for it, but yet, even though they claim, because in the hierarchy of the actual audit,
who's the audit owner of it, the owner is the police department. They still tie into technology throughout the rest of the city and are subservient to the policy. So therefore, it has, as I see, a shared process. And writing this directly into the strategic technology plan, therefore makes it a shared process. This is how I envision. I also realize that, yep, I'm putting my my greasy meat in the red hot fire. My greasy meat in the red hot fire, too, on that by contributing and sharing the responsibility of being in compliance with all the requirements of the CGIS handbook. Any other questions? And again, when we look at approval of it, the final document would then be produced based upon our red line, and then we will then be basically authorizing all of the approvals all at once. So we don't need to have a motion to approve for each and every single one of these. Maybe one flat motion to approve the entire strategic technology plan once finalized. As part is looking at meeting ethical standards and tying into both internal and external audits, one thing that we are looking very seriously next year and put some money actually into the budget requests is into the budget requests is it's recognized we need to do a penetration test here.
Yes, you do.
Yes, we do. The incident response plan made that very clear. We need to do both a regular set. We also have to turn around and be doing a general security audit on internal and our external networks. So not only are we testing how the hacker would see it, we also need to look at overall how are we utilizing security within our organization. And that again kind of breaks down to organization. And that again kind of breaks down to two additional strategies. Perform an external penetration test for all internet gateway and firewalls once every 2 years, realizing, yes, these are expensive and it is time consuming. So we could probably do it every other year and it's still probably consuming. So we could probably do it every other year and it's still probably make good headway on it. Because there are also probably going to be correctable items that we're going to have to address as part of those audits. And then as part of the activity, report the summary results and issues identified by the penetration test team to the technology. Results and issues identified by the penetration test team to the Technology Commission for review. And then very similar to that, the next strategy is perform a third-party security assessment of all internal and external networks and equipment. This should be performed every 2 years opposite the planned schedule for the Technology Commission for review.
Jim, strategy statements 2.2.1 and 2.2.2 read very infrastructure and hardware focused. Is it your intent to pen test applications and middleware as well as part of those activities?
We don't really have any app firewall, at least at this point in time, on it. But yes, that would very well apply to strategy 2.2.2, that I will add applications, networks, and equipment to the list. I think that would list. I think that would really help.
And I guess the way this reads, it's more of a conduct the test, report the results, but there's no words in here that talk about actually taking action to remediate deficiencies.
I would envision that the issues list that they would turn around, because just like we had right now, I could add that also as another activity. And then we would actually track where we are with those particular issues by actually tracking that matrix.
Okay. Yeah.
So should I add like a 2.2.1.2 about add any issues to the risk watch matrix?
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good catch.
Yeah.
Budget.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about the budget just to do the audit, or are you including in the budget the cost of remediation?
Well, there will be items with, I can't put in a budget of something I haven't gone through an audit yet in assessment. So there will be some money in the budget for an audit yet in assessment. So there will be some money in the budget for remediation and for additional tools to be put in place in. But the first thing I'm looking at is the money to perform the actual tests themselves.
Some sort of baseline.
Some sort of baseline. For example, SIEM.
Baseline.
Some sort of baseline. For example, SIEM. I have that in there because I know it's part of the requirements. But one could also say, well, you failed this particular audit, and they say that you need to have an SIEM. Well, I'm going to have to research how much it's going to turn around and cost, turn around and implement that particular device. So I can't predict in advance what technologies they may require me to put in place as far as the audit. There is a little bit of the chicken and the egg into it, but yet there can be some money set aside for remediation.
You know, I understand the part where you don't know what you don't know yet, but we might have to remediate so that they don't get blindsided. Because if you just put it on a risk watch list, and then there's a dollar amount associated with that, that might have to wait another year to get funded.
Yeah, I do have in at least the 2022 budget some planned expenditures for bringing in additional security tools. That I know that would definitely turn around and help us, and that most likely would be red flagged by an audit. So there is some of that at this point, but good point to be taken that, yeah, when we are doing the budgeting process, there should be a fund out there to turn around and actually help for items that have been detected.
So the pen test, you have that budgeted in 22?
Yes, we do. It should be noted the budget hasn't officially been approved yet by the council. So I may have it in there. It's gone through 2 levels of approval thus far, but the final approval will be held by the common council.
Sure.
The entirety of the budget.
Yeah, I think to Dale's point, it's sort of preparing them for the next hammer to drop, whatever the...
Setting expectations, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other? Okay, we're now 20% done. At least we're getting that through. So that's a big hurrah, because it's a very long, in-depth process to turn away at it little by little. Eventually, we will have this entire document finalized. So, okay, now we go into closed session. All right.
Technology Commission may enter closed session for these subject matter. Technology Commission may enter closed session for these subject matter items pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.85, subset 1, minute E, to consider strategy for crime prevention and the implementation of program and policy and tools, therefore, for crime prevention, E, cyber attack prevention and technological crimes in relation thereto for the protection of the city's technical and information infrastructure and the city officials, employees, and the public who use the system, and also pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 19.85, subsection 1, Romanet E, subsection 1, Romanet E, for competition and bargaining reasons with regard to the prevention protection program and these subject matter items, and the investing of public funds in relation thereto, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act on such matters discussed. Please close the doors. Stop the
Need a
recording.
motion?
Oh, sorry. Motion to enter closed session.
I'll make that motion.
Dale. Alderman Mayor seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Get a roll call vote.
Aye.
Alderman Dan Mayer,
Aye.
Joe Webler,
Aye.
Laura Galush is not here, James Rayburger,
Aye.
Gio Serrano,
Aye.
Norma Kissen here, John Farney,
Aye.
and Jessica Precor is not here, Michelle Tischer.
Aye.
Closed session.
Back in open session.
Good, we're reading. Boy, I still need those. Two items. Again, Microsoft. Unstable Microsoft patching. Microsoft hotfixes for September and October continue to cause printing issues within organizations. Corporately, they call this fix printing nightmare. Boy, did they nail that one. Particularly after the network stack is updated on a PC. Patching appears to be impacted on later builds, 20H1, 20H2, and 21H1, more than the older releases, build 1909 and 2002 and 21H1, more than the older releases, build 1909 and 2004. Updates now require that not only print drivers have to be digitally signed, but only an administrator on the computer can install the drivers.
Yep.
Additional problems have been noted with SNMP 2.SMB 2.SMB 2.0 print servers where print queues will go completely offline, or new print queues cannot be installed on a computer. The city is in the process of moving all print servers from Windows 2008 R2 and 2012 over to Windows 2016. This may eliminate some of the printing issues up to the point that Microsoft has stabilized the operating system.
It hasn't for 2019, unfortunately.
2019 is also impacted. Which comes to next. I'm wondering what's happening with 2022.
Exactly.
Windows Server
It's a pain.
2020 has now been released and is available for distribution. Depending upon budget, the city is planning on upgrading the Windows Server 2016 data center licenses. The Windows Server 2022 data center as part of refreshing the HP ProLiant servers. It should be noted that Windows 2022 has the Windows Update platform. Although the Windows Server 2016 has been operationally a stable release, it does have significant patching issues. On a Windows 2016 server, a patch may take 30 to 45 minutes to install. It'll just sit there and hang. Whereas the 2019 server will apply the patch and reboot in less. Upgrade will ensure that the server operating systems will continue to be on the latest release cycle, as well as making patching of servers much easier. So our goal is to eliminate all 2008, 2012 servers first, and then probably do an in-place upgrade of the 2016 servers over 2020.
Have you considered generating the signed certificates for the printers?
I still don't know if that would fix the problems. I don't think it's a certificate issue. Is more they're playing around with the protocol stack. That I know they're still playing around with SMB 1. They don't support SMB 1.0, and they're trying to get away from SMB 2.0. And every single time they come up with a Windows 10 patch in addition to the Windows Server patch, and they're updating the protocols. Sometimes just rebooting the machine several times fixes the problem, or updating the NIC driver on the machine sometimes fix the problem. But it seems to be a problem of what they're doing on the print server side of it for security, plus what's going on the workstation side with the network interface issue. We've been able to stumble and work our way around it.
Yeah, so
at
have
this
I.
point,
And by just going downstairs and putting in the administrator password and all that sort of stuff in order to get around the problem.
Yeah.
That, for a larger organization, that's a no-go. Got to figure out a different way to do it. So I'll be interested to hear what kind of progress you make.
Yeah, at least with the installation of the drivers. I do use the vendor drivers as much as possible, which most of them, not all, but most of them, because they are newer printers, are already digitally signed by the vendor. So the driver is digitally signed. Now it comes down to, all right, the user tries to, driver is digitally signed. Now it comes down to, all right, the user tries to install a printer driver, up comes the pop-up where you have to turn around and put the admin credentials to turn around and do something as easy as install and push a driver out. The only other thing I've seen out there would be literally to administratively. I've seen out there would be literally to administratively using a login script or something, run a PowerShell script to pre-install the drivers on the machine under admin credentials, so it doesn't have to grab it from the print server.
Yep.
Which is really interesting because all this is just to fix an academic problem.
It works against the whole reason for having a print server.
Right. That's kind of where they're going down, and some companies are just saying, you know, we're not going to use Microsoft print servers.
Yeah. Direct print IO.
Next would be the director's notes on IT operations, many long years of service. Security administration of BSNA and the financial systems will be transferred from the business unit and become the responsibility of IT. This will require a series of training and turnover sessions. With the exception of Pro Phoenix at the PD, all security administration of operational systems will now be consolidated. Phoenix at the PD, all security administration of operational systems will now be consolidated to IT. Historically, it should be noted that BSNA and government administration was performed by the business units. When I first started here, it was Fred who did govern. It was always Paul that did BSNA. I would do here. It was Fred who did govern. It was always Paul that did BSNA. I would do the security setup for all the SQL servers. So we did have a split administration model, and now with retirements, that distributed model is slowly going away, and now IT is becoming more and more the centralized security department. TELUS implementation. Milwaukee County is in the process of still launching a fully debugged code for the Pro Phoenix CAD to CAD modules. The PD is actively performing training and code testing throughout the months of September and October. September 3rd. But later pushed this back to November 8th or November 8th or November 15th. As of the last meeting, it does not appear that the November 8th date will happen, at least up to the point that the anticipated code releases for Pro Phoenix have been approved. Current anticipated code releases for Pro Phoenix have been approved. Currently, they are still being tested in Pro Phoenix Q&A. It is currently believed that if the November 15th launch date is delayed, the project will most likely be implemented sometime in Q1 of 2020. Really wanted to get it done this year, but the testing has revealed enough bugs. The bugs need code fixes. The code fixes are launched and tested, and that seems to be the hold-up at this point in launching the project. GCS and LandDAF hosted services. The Milwaukee County Treasurer is pushing forward with a project to eliminate systems and databases over to a multi-tenant hosted system on an AWS cloud. A project manager at LandNav has been assigned and constructed 3 major project milestones. Phase 1 of the project will be from October 16th to November 15th and will consist of migrating and converting all databases to the cloud application. Firewall and routing changes will also be needed. Phase 2 will be used to generate all tax statements on the local GCS systems, then import these into the multi-tenant's shared service as well. Any municipality wishing to use the VSP service for credit card processing, or GovTech for escrow payments will need to be specifically configured for the service on the shared system. Phase 3 will occur in 2022 and will consist of importing all assessor information into a structured format as new assessments are being performed. It should be noted that 19 municipalities will need to complete Phase 1 and Phase 2 task items prior to December 2nd, 2021, which is their anticipated go-live date. Any questions on that? PD staffing. Ann Woodruff will be leaving the police department. She is a contracted hire over there with Heartland Business Systems with a potential departure date of December 31st, 2021. Technologies, with the intention of this being a contract to hire arrangement. The goal for 2022 will be to fully onboard all IT consultants and make these full-time City of Franklin employees with full benefits. This is the extension of the staffing plan that was put forward in 2020. That's Yep. And that's all I have on the notes.
Okay. Any questions, discussion? All right, we have our future agenda items, which is a parking lot for items that we know we like to circle back, on, and we'll discuss in future meetings, including the continuation of the technology plan. Our next meeting date is Wednesday, December 8th. That's a combination meeting. Normally we do this around the holiday time period because end of November is Thanksgiving, end of December is this year holiday. So that is our next meeting date. Combination meeting for November and December. Motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.